For the last few days, the Wizarding World enthusiasts have been indulging themselves in the magical world of Hogwarts Legacy, myself included. And while I absolutely adore the attention to detail, breathtaking visuals, and the sheer scale of this new world, there are a few things that could have made this masterpiece even better. In today's video, we will cover 5 things that I personally wish that Hogwarts Legacy did differently. Some of these things are more quality of life improvements, while others are clear design decisions that leave me scratching my head. As for the ranking, we will chronologically go from number 1 being WTF were the devs thinking, to number 5 being more of a nice to have kind of a thing. So first thing on the list that I wish Hogwarts Legacy did differently is allowing casting spells while moving. Such a small change, and maybe you didn't even notice, but for me this is a huge downside. You spend half of the game casting spells, and except for Lumos, every single spell stops you dead in your tracks. The fact that casting Lumos does allow you to continue moving means that the functionality is there, but for whatever reason the developers made the decision to interrupt your movement every time you cast anything else, including the standard auto attack and Revelio, which is never used in combat. Every time when I'm exploring the world and I see a Moonstone Crystal, I get seriously annoyed that I get rooted on the spot just to destroy it with my standard attack. It makes the combat feel a bit clunky and kinda stop and go, instead of the fluid and seamless combat that I was really hoping for. I can't imagine the devs overlooking or missing this functionality, since casting spell is such a huge part of the game, so I'm left to believe that it was a design decision which had a particular reason. Without knowing that reason, however, I'm just left wondering why and hoping that maybe, just maybe, they decide to change this in some future patch. Most PC players have been seriously struggling with the game's performance since the game came out. Even people with like $4,000 rigs have been reporting issues on Reddit and various forums. Don't get me wrong, I can handle constant lower FPS, but when a game runs solid 60 FPS 1 minute and then barely 5 FPS next minute, that's a big problem. Not even mentioning ray tracing, which literally nobody can run at this point. Even without ray tracing, however, and DLSS upscaling enabled, the performance is definitely not where it needs to be. Most players expected Avalanche to release a day 1 patch fixing these performance issues. Unfortunately, it didn't come for the players who paid extra for early access, and it didn't even come on day 1 when the game got officially released. At this point, PC players definitely got the short end of the stick, and while console players are enjoying mostly seamless experience, PC players are watching the FPS counter more than the actual game. Hopefully, it won't take more than a few days to get a true patch addressing the stutters and crashes that players have been reporting, but since there has been no official word from Avalanche whatsoever, we're only left guessing. There are a lot of things that the game does not explain to you. Sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes not so much. The main thing that was frustrating me during the first 20 hours of my playthrough was the gated content I had no idea how to unlock. The best examples here are the talents and the additional spell sets. I was already level 19, and knowing that there are 40 levels in the game, I thought I must have missed something important to get these unlocked. I could see the talents tab name, but it was grayed out and there was no explanation as to what I had to do to unlock it. Same with the spell sets. I already had like 8 spells with only one set of 4 castable spells available, forcing me to constantly change the 4 usable spells based on the current situation and need. I did see that there are other spell sets available, but I couldn't use them, which again was extremely frustrating. The game, however, does provide an explanation for other gated content, like the flying mounts and broom slots in the gear section, letting me know, for example, that I have to progress through the main story to unlock these. So I'm not sure why there is such a lack of consistency with providing this level of information to the players across the board. Again, not a deal breaker, but definitely a source of frustration for new players in the first few hours of the game, or at least until you get to the point in the main story where you unlock these. Number 4 on the list is getting us closer and closer to the nice to have category. It would be nice to have a bit of an explanation as to what is the gear actually giving us. Like many other RPGs, the game rewards us with new items that improve our character. The 2 core improvement stats are defense and offense. And even though it's very clear what do these categories improve, it's not very clear how. Take a legendary scarf, for example, that gives you 52 offense. It replaces an epic scarf that gave you 47 offense, so of course you equip it since it gives you 5 more offense. But what does that actually mean? The numbers by themselves are absolutely meaningless unless they are set in some context. If, for example, your basic spell damage was, let's say, 200, and your new scarf increased that damage by 52 points to 252, that would make sense, and that would explain the 52. That's not the case, however. I could even work with percentages. Let's say that the 52 offense represented 5.2% of increased damage for each spell. That would also make sense. But again, that's not the case. So the game gives us absolutely no explanation as to what these numbers mean, so they are just that, numbers, telling us that one item is a higher quality than the other because it has a higher number. A bit of a missed opportunity here for some cool theory crafting. Alas, we can't have it all, can we? Last item on the list is no surprise, and with so many Wizarding World fans that want to soak up every minute of this gorgeous game, it's almost a crime not to include photo mode. From the interesting characters to the beautiful vistas to animals and familiar locations from the books or from the movies, most players would love the opportunity to capture these magical moments in a photo with a few cool editing options. For this one, however, I do have high hopes in the future patches since it doesn't necessarily change any core gameplay mechanics or systems, and there were other games in the past that added a photo mode later on. Alright guys, let me know in the comments what you think about my list, and if there are other things that you wish the game did better or different. You know that I always do my best to reply to all of your comments. If you happen to like the video, click on the like button, and if you are interested in more similar gaming content, consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.